welcome to this week's Stream Squad.
Hello.
Hey,
We got Nick over here in the corner.
Yeah.
is Nick over there? Nick
What's
is.
up?
Guess what? I'm back here behind the camera still.
Yep.
Whole team.
Whole
I love
team,
when we have the
yeah,
whole team
Everyone
here.
together.
Except I need to lean back so we can see Nick.
Well,
there.
there's more of us, but we're the ones that get to be on camera.
Yeah. Well, whole team that's here every day, I guess.
Yeah. So,
But cool. So
Yeah.
some pretty exciting stuff.
yeah, so we've got some news from Verizon about their unlimited plan being split into 3 plans, and we've got
Their unlimited limited plan. We'll
We're-
talk more about that later.
we've got some user group stuff, and then we've got a cool user video to show you at the end. So let's jump right into it. So Verizon has decided to change their unlimited plan.
Real quick before we get too far, for those that are not from the U.S., Verizon is one of the bigger cell carriers. So there's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile,
I mean,
Sprint.
I think they probably are aware.
There might be different carriers where you're from, but wanted
Yeah.
to set that up just for people that might not be from here in the States.
Yeah, and when did this news break? Was it Whitney? Did you find the articles yesterday?
Yeah, I saw them yesterday. It could have come out a day or so before, but the changes are going into effect today.
Right.
So relatively new information, at least to me. So Verizon previously to this news had one of the better kind of unlimited plans as far as data for their cell carrier stuff. So they announced yesterday or a couple days ago that they are going to be splitting their unlimited plan into 3 unlimited plans with different fine print and caveats. So the first plan is the Go Unlimited, which is their lowest tier unlimited plan. And so the limitations they're starting to add to these different plans involve how you view streaming video. So when you're on Facebook or YouTube and you're watching something streamed, they're introducing some adjustments to their unlimited plans. They say it's to kind of work on the entire network. So you've got a ton of people streaming video, and that's eating up a ton of their resources. So in order to make that easier for their network to handle, they're starting to throttle videos quality. So on the Go Unlimited plan, which is the lowest tier, smartphone viewing of streaming video is now going to be capped at 480p. So that's a new thing. It used to be not capped at all. It was 1080.
It's also a new plan, so...
Yeah, it's a new plan, but they've taken their old plan and split it into 3. That old plan is going away. If you have it currently, you'll be able to keep the price you're paying, but you'll still be bumped down to a different streaming quality. So you'll want to check on that. So 480p smartphone streaming, if you're watching on a tablet on one of the Go Unlimited plans, you'll be capped at 720. If you use the hotspot on your Go Unlimited plan, if you use your phone as a mobile hotspot like Nick tends to do, this will be capped at 600 kilobytes per second speed.
On download.
On download. We don't know. They haven't really put much out there about upload speeds changing. We are not sure what that's going to look like. But
So just a quick
as far
example.
as viewing,
If you were to... if you were to sync your phone with your computer and watch a video on your computer, it would be capped at the 600 kilobytes per second. So you'd probably end up with a 480p playback, even though you're watching on your computer.
Yeah.
When your phone's in hotspot mode.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yep.
Whitney's like, man, I was about to say that.
Yep. Got it covered, but thanks. So the next plan up is the Beyond Unlimited plan, which is a step up. And here you'll have unlimited data, but your smartphone streaming video will be limited to 720p viewing. This is not upload, this is download. And then if you use your hotspot, you'll have 15 gigs, I think. Let me see here. There's something on here about it. Yeah, so you'll have 15 gigs before they take it down to the 600 kilobytes per second. They're going to keep you at LTE speeds until you hit a certain level on your data.
And that's just for downloading? Is that right?
That's just for downloading on the hotspot for that. And then, let's see, the other things that they have capped are... let's see what else. There were a lot of things in this article that we were reading.
So go ahead.
So these things are, not new necessarily. They're new to Verizon. Verizon is just following suit with what T-Mobile and AT&T have already done. The lowest tier unlimited data plans for AT&T and T-Mobile also have their streaming video capped at 480. So this is not like a big upheaval. It's just new for Verizon. So, but one of the things we wanted to talk about is like what does that mean for people who are viewing video, streaming video? What's the difference? What's the real difference between 480 and 720?
Well, and real quick, did you hit on the kind of the priority that they're putting on the different plans?
Yeah, so they're also throttling your speeds on the lower tier plan. So with Verizon on the Go plan, they are reserving the right to throttle your download at any time that there's network congestion. So it's not after you've reached your data limit, it's not after you've reached a certain limit, they can throttle your speed at any time. If you're on the Beyond plan, which is the next step up, they reserve the right to throttle your plan after you've hit 22 gigs of data usage, that billing cycle.
Yeah,
so,
and I wouldn't expect it to happen often. If you're at a big event and there's a big crowd and lots of people are using their phones, throttling some data helps them manage their network more efficiently.
And it's going to depend on where you are as well. So it's what the network in your area is like to begin with. Like what is considered congestion for where you are. So Louisville is a smaller city than New York City, but our network is going to be different to deal with that difference. So it's maybe not necessarily about the number of people in an area, but if the network is congested, they're going to throttle your speeds.
So you were mentioning about 16 gigs before they start throttling for one of those plans, right?
I think it's 15, and that's for the hotspot.
15 for the hotspot.
Yeah.
Do you all have any idea? I don't know if you know this, Nick, on how long it would take to get that data cap hit?
So it depends on what you're doing.
Right.
For me, I consume a lot of video on my phone. I am streaming YouTube videos and Facebook videos and music on my phone
between
pretty
Spotify
constantly.
and Apple Music.
And I still only hit about 7 gigs of data usage per month.
Right.
So you would have to be consuming a ton of data in order to do that.
I think an important distinction here is if you're looking at one of the plans that has the priority on the network and they have the 15 gigs that are unfiltered, unthrottled, that allotment of data is up and down typically. Like when they talk about data in chunks, it's for upload and download. So if you're a broadcaster and you're using Facebook Live or Periscope or something like Switcher Studio and you are doing video at 720p, it ends up being about 1.5 gigs per hour if you're doing the full quality default setting. So that's kind of a good formula to keep in mind if you're doing mostly upload and you're trying to prioritize that kind of batch that's included that is going to have a priority on the network.
Yeah. And they have a third plan as well. I didn't get a lot of detail on it because it's not one of the consumer plans. The Go plan and the Beyond plan are the consumer level plans that they've split into, and then there's a third plan that's for businesses. But I feel like for most of the people who are viewing this are probably going to be on a plan like that unless you're working for a company that is providing your data plans. The business plan is not really something that you're going to have to worry about.
So yeah, that's really good information to know how long it's going to take to hit those things. I know I got grandfathered in with my family's plan on having a good Verizon thing, and we have about 20 or 25 gigs, I think, per month, and the only time we hit it is when my sister is using Netflix or whatever, watching HD videos on her, and I mean there's 4 of us on that plan, so that's really good to know. Nick, I think you have some information to talk about, kind of because this 480p doesn't sound as good when we can get up to 1080p recordings on these phones and stuff. So do you have some information about that?
Yeah, so we first saw the article break through Verge, and there may have been other sources. There's USA Today did a piece on this recently. I think Dan has maybe been scrolling through this or has the link for the Verge
Yeah,
article.
let me bring that up.
And it's hard because reading through this, there's a lot of numbers and there's a lot of different plans, and like it's just confusing. But we wanted to give a very real example of what does this mean for you as a viewer, because that's something that will affect everyone that's on Verizon watching on their phone if they're on this Go plan. If you're watching video at 480p versus 720, which is the kind of entry version of HD video, there's a 3x difference in quality from what you'll see at 480 to what you'll see at 720. And we did a quick example, I think Dan's going to pull up here.
Yes, yeah.
That helps illustrate what that difference looks like. So once you talk about the resolution, so this is how big of a frame you have for your video. 720p is going to be a larger frame, and so there's more pixels in that amount of space. 480p is 3x smaller, so there's fewer bits inside of that. There's fewer pixels per every frame of video, so there's less information. And when you're streaming content where there's people speaking, or there's not a lot of movement, in most cases you can't really see a big difference, especially if you're viewing on a smaller device like a phone. If it's something where there's a lot of movement, like athletics, or something where there's a lot of detail in the shots where you're showing text or maybe a presentation or using screen sharing, it's going to be much more evident in that quality difference. So this example that Dan brought up is just a way to quickly illustrate that. If you can go full screen with that, Dan.
Yeah,
make that a little easier for people to see what's going on.
And know, while this is up here, that this is on Facebook right now, so we have director mode afterwards. So both these might look a little blurry here. I guess we can upload this image into the comments first of all, but then you can see this on YouTube tomorrow, and you can see that as well.
Yeah.
So these changes for Verizon went into effect today. And if you're watching this broadcast on your phone, you may be seeing it at 480p quality. So be sure to check out the replay and the upload of this broadcast on YouTube. We are recording in director mode, and we'll have that full quality version that'll make it easier to kind of see the comparison that we're talking about here.
Yeah. And a lot of what we're talking about right now is your viewer's experience being changed by this. So when we're talking about viewing streams at 480 versus 720, this is what people see on their phones if they're on Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile's lowest level plans.
Right.
This is what they will see. This doesn't necessarily mean that there will be changes in the upload, and we're going to look into that and find out more information as it comes out about it.
Yeah, so if you have the bandwidth and you can stream at 720p, viewers that have capable devices or data plans that support it will be able to see it at the full quality.
Or people are watching on the computer too.
Right.
Exactly. If someone has Verizon and they're watching on their phone, or maybe with some of the other carriers as well, that may be limited to a 480p viewing experience. So that hits on the next piece we wanted to talk a little bit about, and Angela, I'll let you drive this if I'm going off the rails here. But if people are going to be watching video at 480p, and you can get away with doing your live broadcast at a lower quality, it's going to be a better viewing experience for people across the board because you're using less bandwidth. But if you need that quality, or you have the resources, the uplink, the infrastructure to do that, by all means, do 720p or try and get higher quality video. Just know that if people are watching on their phones, they don't necessarily need that. So if you want to go into some of the stats that we pulled out and talk a little bit more about that,
Yeah,
I think we'll be in good shape.
absolutely. So, we're going to go over just two of the major platforms with the strategy piece for Facebook and YouTube. And, we were just talking about the difference between watching video on a computer or a big screen versus on a phone. There was actually a study done last year in 2016 that on Facebook, over 90% of people consume Facebook through the mobile app, through their phones. So that's not only statuses, uploading pictures, anything like that, that's also consuming video. So they're gonna have that smaller screen where, if they're watching it in a 480p format, it's not gonna be as noticeable as if they were watching on like a big screen TV or anything. On top of that, most people watch videos on Facebook using the vertical view. So that's making the video space even smaller at that point. Most people won't turn for horizontal, they'll leave it like this. So again, you might get some fuzziness, some grain with graphics that are up there, especially tiny text that might be in a corner. But just for watching people talk, which is a lot of what's on Facebook, it's more of how we're doing here. It's mainly watching, people talk and describe things. It's not going to be as noticeable having that 480p difference. This is actually a good thing for mobile video creators. When you're having that smaller area where Verizon users are having the 480p video, you can use a DSLR camera or a bigger video camera and shoot in that high quality. But at the end, it's still going to show in that 480p format. So now it's even easier, to think about switching over to mobile video, where your consumer is already going to get that smaller video size. Instead of hooking up a lot of wiring, a lot of work that way, you can use a wireless mobile solution like Switcher Studio and be able to set up your video that way for people to consume. YouTube is a little bit different. YouTube, a lot of people go on it for already uploaded video, pre-recorded video. They expect that higher content to be on there. That's why you see a lot of users using 1080p and 4K to produce their content. With live video, most YouTubers and their followers still expect live video to be a little lower quality. Again, most people watching YouTube video are still going to be consuming it on their phones. So for a live video you're producing, just like Facebook, it's not going to be as noticeable if they are capped to that 480p. But, as Dan mentioned briefly earlier, if you're using Switcher Studio and use the director mode feature, you're already streaming at that lower quality, and you're able, basically triggers a recording on all the cameras that you're using, so you've got that full 1080p video that's going to be there after. So whether you're going live to Facebook or live to YouTube, if you're using director mode, it's going to shrink that down to, around that 480p quality. That's going to make it easier on your bandwidth as well to get multiple camera sources. But in the end, you're still going to have that full, high quality 1080p video that you can upload to YouTube if you want to upload to Facebook, on your website, anything like that. So that way you've still got, kind of the best of both worlds at that point going on.
So something really interesting, apparently stuff is in effect right now. David is in the comments and he says he has the stream on his iPad linked to his home Wi-Fi and on his phone using the Verizon network, and he says he can see the difference. So that's very interesting. Live live test while we're here.
A quick just side note, I watched, there's a YouTube channel that I follow, and they did their first YouTube Live this weekend, and they did it, I believe, from a mobile device, and the quality was watchable, but not quite on par with their produced content that they would typically do. And so it was just really interesting to see I think there's kind of a different threshold.
The expectations are different for live versus pre-recorded.
And it was really engaging. I think there were over 8,000 viewers live during this event, and people were using the super chat and getting comments, and it was one of the better YouTube live experiences I've had as a viewer. And they did it with likely a mobile device, just based on what we saw in that particular broadcast.
Yeah.
Something else to kind of talk about with this stuff. Angela mentioned director mode being really good for YouTube. Something else that I guess is some light in this, I don't know if you can call it this bad time or dark thing or whatever. Talking about the
we're going
Verizon
backwards
stuff.
in time.
Not backwards in time or anything, but there's still this stigma that mobile video isn't as good. People want their huge cameras and all this stuff, and they don't realize how good quality you can get from iPads and iPhones and other mobile devices. So,
especially when the viewing experience for most people watching on their cell phones is going to be in 480.
Exactly.
Why spend all of that money on big expensive cameras when the end result's not going to be?
And that's why I think, so it's one of those good things for us where, people will see it and see that it's the exact same quality as someone's getting with some huge big rig, $1,000 cameras all plugged in and hardwired. I mean, we can do the same setup with, as we say all the time, with stuff that's in your pocket or You know, I'll put this exact setup without the tripods into a carry-on bag and be ready to go. So it's cool. It might be one of those things that helps break down those barriers where
For sure.
mobile video is
Yeah.
really good. You can get really good quality with mobile cameras.
Yeah.
Well, and-
Silver
and-
linings.
Apple has over 800 engineers working on their camera alone. The new Apple iPhone is anticipated to be announced at their next keynote. We just had an update come through earlier, still not officially confirmed, but based on some historical trends and some information coming through on for some of the different carriers, wireless carriers, it's anticipated that Apple is going to have their keynote on September 12th, and that you may be able to do pre-orders on the new iPhone if they announce it, which they probably will, as early as that same week. So maybe by September 15th, you could expect to start doing pre-orders for the new iPhone 8. So I'm really excited to see what they pack into that new camera. And this is a 10-year anniversary for the iPhone, so it should be some big news.
I'm excited
With
about
with the quality, you know, iPhone's always had a pretty good camera, but even just thinking about a couple of years ago, it was very distinct. I had my iPhone and I had my DSLR, and you know, if it was something where I wanted to produce something for YouTube or get a lot of really good photos, it was automatic DSLR. I've got the iPhone 7 I got last year. I've actually rarely used my DSLR this year, and I think only one person has been able to tell because they know I have my iPhone with me. The quality is so great on these newer phones that most of the time it's not worth it to bring, you know, 4 extra batteries for in the battery dies and an SD card and everything. I can just have this in my pocket. I've got video, I've got photo. You can still, you know, do some editing to it later if you want, but, you know, I just can't wait to see what the quality continues to get with
And
these.
I'm going to hit on one of the comments real quickly, and then we can move on to the next segment. With mobile devices versus traditional cameras, one of the benefits of a traditional camera is that they do have lenses that you're able to zoom and get a really high quality picture from something that might be really far away. There is some limitation in what you can do as far as zoom on these devices, but you can zoom and you can get these devices really close to what's happening, where the action is, without it being a big distraction for people that are at an event. And so if you go into a production where you're using mobile devices and try to place your cameras where you can get the best shots and where the proximity to what's actually happening and where you place the cameras is a little bit tighter, you're gonna get some really good results.
Yes. Sorry, I am live, almost out of space on my computer, so I am trying to delete stuff to make sure I don't lose SwitcherCast.
We'll put that on our
Let's
checklist.
see. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go through and look at some comments real quick and see what we got.
Well, I can go ahead. Yeah.
So Tim asked if he can order a black Switcher shirt. I might have some news on that next week. I will let you know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I was gonna do a little shout out to all the people
you can
saying
do the
hey.
shout outs if you want.
Yeah, Tim, Marcin, Jace, Song. I see Mike. A lot of the people are normally tuning in. Thank you guys. David, Hezekiah. A lot of names I recognize from the
Yeah.
user group as well. So nice to see you all here.
Yeah, if you guys are in the user group, I have a poll running in the user group right now asking people where they, or like what kind of connection they use to stream. So it's like asking about whether you use the hotspot on your phone or if you use wireless or wired Ethernet setups and stuff. So take that poll. I'm looking to collect some data there. We might share the results next week.
There's our poll we've got so far,
Yeah.
as you can see.
And that's in the Switcher Studio Enthusiasts group. So that there's a link on our Facebook page that can get you there.
Or you can just search Switcher Studio Enthusiasts and get it there as well. So one of the things that we're also going to do in the user group is we're going to test the Verizon hotspot streaming. So Nick has a Verizon Unlimited plan, and we are going to test to see what the upload is like on that. So most of the information that we gave you today is all about download speeds and your viewers' experience. So if you join the user group, go in, check it out. We're going to have a stream later today when we test it out and see how that's going to work for us. So yeah, and if you're not a member of the user group, you should go join.
Also, real quick, I wanted to hit on, Angela mentioned director mode in Switcher earlier. For those of you that are maybe watching one of these videos for the first time or are not familiar with Switcher, Director mode is a setting that you can enable that allows you to stream at any quality. So you could stream at a lower quality. And when you end your broadcast, it can actually collect the video from all the different cameras and recreate your video at full quality. So you could have a 1080p fixed frame rate video that you could upload directly to YouTube or take into editing and tighten it up and make some changes before you upload it for on demand. So that's one of the really great things about Switcher that we've had for a while. We're really excited about and helps make the best of network situations where you might not have a lot of bandwidth or where there might be some limitations in place. So is this a good spot to move over to the how to think about what you need to know on streaming, or do you all have something else that you want to go to next?
It's all you.
All
I
right.
think that's a good transition.
I mean, it could have been a good transition, but float me for a minute. Okay, so things you need to know. If you're using your hotspot for your data, if you're doing a broadcast from your phone using the built-in LTE or 4G, or you're enabling the hotspot and pairing other devices, you can consider using the low preset when you go to create that YouTube or Facebook event so that you're streaming at the 480p. And that's going to match it with that viewing experience that you're going to see on a lot of mobile playback with some of these newer plans. Dan, do you have a screenshot of that we can bring up?
You know what? It just so happens I do indeed have that.
So again, when you go to make a broadcast from your phone or using the hotspot on your mobile device, if you use the low preset, that's going to let you stream at 480p, and that's going to match up with the viewing experience that most people will have on their phones. Again, if people are watching Facebook on their phone, which I think was it 90%
Yeah,
of
over 90%,
Facebook's daily
yeah.
active usage is on mobile, that you can broadcast at the quality that they're going to see and not be wasting bandwidth. Also would recommend that if you have Verizon or a carrier that is making some changes, contact them to check your plan status. Make sure you're on a plan that gives you priority on the network. So if you're at a big event or there's a big crowd or they have to make adjustments, that you're not going to get throttled or slowed down. And if you're on the entry-level data plan, consider what it would take to bump that up so that you have priority on the network.
And this is really only super important if you are primarily using your hotspot to stream.
Right.
If you are usually doing a wireless setup where you have your own router or you're hooking into a venue's internet connection, then this isn't really super important for you to do. So, but if
I think it's still important to know, because a lot of times we'll go to a venue or something and the internet's not what they say it is or something, and you might be scrambling, so it's always good to at least know.
if you're using your hotspot regularly, or if you think you're going to need it as a backup to whatever you typically use, then I would increase your plan. But
well, and we have some customers that rely on their hotspot a lot for productions because they're going to different venues from week to week, and they might not have the ability to go out 2 days ahead of time and test it and make adjustments. So if you are using your hotspot, yes, you should show up ahead of time and test things and make adjustments. But if you're relying on a hotspot, check your plan and make sure that you have what you need and you're getting what you think you're getting. Also, enable director mode. If you need to stream at a lower quality, use director mode so you have that full quality capture that you can upload later. And there's information in the knowledge base and YouTube videos on our YouTube channel on how to use that. We'll
really
make sure
quick,
to drop those in.
Yeah, real quick. You mentioned director mode, and there have been a couple people talking about director mode in the comments here. And Tim said director mode works great, but keep in mind you have a large file size to deal with, which is true. We covered that in the last Stream Squad, which should be up on YouTube or on this Facebook page as well, that you can take a look at to know a little more about it. To give you a quick idea, I capture this here in the full 1080, and each file is, and we go for 45 minutes normally, 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and we're looking at about a gig per each angle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. So you're looking at about 4 to 5 gigs per hour. So per device, I guess a gig per device, you can almost say per 45 minutes or an hour.
So there's another broadcast where we go into more detail on director mode. There's information in the knowledge base and videos. If you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of bandwidth, or that's maybe a concern that you need to lower the quality, learn more about director mode and give it a shot.
Yes.
And the last piece I wanted to lead with here is if you have access to a wired Ethernet, or are in a situation where you can set up your own Wi-Fi network, do the prep, and you're going to get really good results with Switcher. If you're doing a show every week at the same location, you can get a few broadcasts under your belt and have networking gear set up where you just know it's going to work. You can come in, set up your cameras, and be ready to go in just a few minutes. If you're going to a new venue or a new location, contact that venue ahead of time to see what resources they have. Check out our knowledge base article on advanced network settings. We'll give a checklist of all of this that you all can check out. But just thought it would be good to kind of run through things you need to know. And quick recap here. Hotspot, consider the low preset. Contact your wireless carrier. Consider using director mode or learn more about it. And if you're in a situation where you can bring your own networking gear, test it out and do that.
So I think, do we have a video this week?
We do
have it
indeed.
featured? Does anyone want to give some context around that?
Nick, I know you've been talking to him for a while. Would you like to tee this one up?
We have a video. It's someone that's traveling to Finland, I think, to do some interviews.
From Norway to Finland.
And it's BK that's doing these videos. And he shared one in the user group here recently, was asking for some feedback. I think he's got some ideas for things he wants to try different on the next production, but was really great quality and a really good example of what you can do with Switcher. Also wanted to talk about audio a little bit with this broadcast.
Real quick, just so they know, the video is being played on the right-hand side of the screen.
Great,
there.
okay.
It's really cool seeing him be so mobile with it and be able to move around, because he's going all over, isn't he?
I think the one I saw earlier was an interview. So he had like an intro video, and then there's a conversation happening.
There's lower thirds, graphics, all that good stuff.
And he had gotten a iOgrapher kit that included the case and some microphones and other gear to go along with that. But there was a thread that happened in the user group. Rode has a shotgun microphone called the Rode Go. And if you're using it on a device with Wi-Fi enabled, there can be problems. That particular microphone does not have its own power source. So if Wi-Fi or Bluetooth is enabled, there can be wireless interference that results in white noise or a like sound over top of whatever's happening. We can gift that later if you want.
What was that sound again, Nick?
And we actually reached out and gave a recommendation. There's another microphone that Rode makes. It's the Rode Mic Pro that has its own power source. It uses a 9-volt battery, and you can use the TRRS adapter with that and get really good quality. So if you're using a shotgun microphone, the VidMic Go is around $100 US. It works great for recordings or with the one device. If you're doing a multi-camera setup or enabling Wi-Fi, it might cause problems. You can spend just a little bit more and upgrade to the VidMic Pro and get really good results.
So if you just buy this is the mic that Nick's recommending over there. As you can see, it's only got the 2 rings, so that's the TRS. You'll need to pick up one of these as well that Rode makes. All this stuff's available on iOgrapher's website too. That's what I'd recommend. But this has the 3 rings. You'll plug in your TRS right in there. And now this can plug into your iOS device, and you're going to have super awesome audio out of this guy.
Awesome. So yeah, it was a great customer video and a good exchange on just kind of working through their production and helping them get set up. Really excited to see the videos they're putting out on their trip in Finland.
So a few questions before we wrap, if that's all right. I just saw David ask, do you or have you, Switcher, ever mentioned affiliate link? That's something that could come soon. We don't have that set up yet, but be on the lookout for that. And then there was another question here. Artem I hope I'm saying that correctly. It says, any news if there will be a feature to push Facebook comments to the live feed as a lower third. I don't know if that's, I haven't heard that conversation come up, but I don't know if you want to mention where they can go to kind of talk about feature requests and how to do that.
Yeah, so anything related to things that you would like to see in Switcher, or any ideas that you might have to make it a better experience, if you can email support@switcherstudio.com. Angela keeps track of those, and we'll bring that up when we have our product meetings with the team. We do have some really exciting things lined up between now and the end of the year, and we have a new update that will be coming out in September with some big stuff. So we'll talk more about that when we get a little bit closer. If you are doing a broadcast with Switcher Studio and create the Facebook event in Switcher, there's a tab that will appear where you can see comments from viewers in real time. And that's a way for the person producing the event to see those comments. In a scenario like this interview or show that we're doing today, I'm actually just watching our stream on my phone, so I can see comments from over here. We don't currently have a way to show those on screen to put them back out for your viewers, but using SwitcherCast, you could monitor
I mean, technically,
comments from your computer and
Ta-da,
pipe those back in the
comments.
Switcher.
Not exactly the best way to do it, but
There's also some cropping options there with picture-in-picture, so if you wanted to box that in to just show
Hey,
the comments, that's a
let's
way you
go
could do
for
that
it.
today.
let's see if we can do that. Really, there's another question.
We'll tee another one up while you.
Yeah,
play with that.
while I play with that, you want to talk? Tim was asking, our lower thirds coming next month? Question mark. You want to talk about that a
Okay.
little bit?
So in the September release, one of the things that we're working on is live text edits. So we will have templates for lower thirds, where you can go in and type someone's name or title and do that all inside of the app. You can prepare graphics ahead of time, full screen images, overlays, or lower thirds, and you'll still be able to do that moving forward. But in this next release, we'll have some templates that make it really easy to do those on the fly inside of Switcher. So really excited about that.
It's not really.
Got any more
gonna
for
work.
us, Dan?
No,
So we can
and
check them here.
yeah, I'm trying to crop this
Do the
down. I don't think it's
picture-in-picture
gonna really
thing.
work. Yeah. Well, I guess.
So again, just wanted to make a note in the user group Switcher Studio Enthusiasts, we do have a poll. Just wanted to get a quick count on how many people are streaming, either bringing their own Wi-Fi equipment, using Wi-Fi or internet that's already at a venue, bringing your hotspot. There's a couple different options there, and it'd be good just to get some feedback on how people are managing their productions. We are trying to do more testing and recommendations on some of these different setups, and what you'll need from a networking perspective can be very different depending on the type of production that you're doing. It's really easy to go live with just your phone or just your tablet, or turn on your hotspot and do a couple of cameras. If you're doing something that's more structured and staged, having your own network or router for your Switcher productions can really help with quality. And then if you get into big productions where you're doing a concert venue or an athletic event, you can always build a bigger network, and there's lots of solutions for that. Ubiquity is a company that we use a lot of their gear for our own events when we go to conferences and do bigger productions. So we have resources that go into more detail on these on our website in the knowledge base, or you can email support and we'll help point you in the right direction on those. We have talked recently about the Google Home router. It's around $100, $129 US. It's a small round hub that is really easy to set up and works well for Switcher productions where everything's kind of close, and if you want to get a couple different angles, you can get up and running in no time.
So I've kind of got it working there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so
Yay,
just
cool.
to kind of tell y'all what I did there, I've got the stream pulled up, the Facebook stream with the comments on the side, and I've kind of positioned the file or my Chrome browser into the middle there, and then cropped it down so you can see it. It's not the best workaround, but it is a way to do it. Carlos in the enthusiast group has done some really cool things with this to get scoreboards on screen and things like that. So I think he actually has a video in there that could be really cool to check out if you want to learn a little more about that workflow there.
Cool.
I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout in the Switcher Studio Enthusiast group. We're going to be doing a test streaming from a Verizon hotspot. Based on the information we have, it doesn't sound like these new plans are going to affect upload, but that has yet to be confirmed. This is primarily on the viewing experience and what people will watch or see if they're playing back video on their mobile device. So after the broadcast, be sure to switch over, tune in on Switcher Studio Enthusiast in the user group, and we'll be doing some tests over there. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.